everyone, welcome back to Get Sit Done Dogs. Yes, Jurassic Park is actually my favorite movie, and I do love dinosaurs very much, but not as much as I love dogs. Anyway, crate training, kennel training, what do we know about it? How do we do it? Crate and kennel training is something that I recommend that all dogs have exposure to, whether you are planning on actually keeping them in a kennel or a crate. All dogs should have some sort of exposure to it, because at some time and point in their life, they will actually be in a kennel or a crate. So that could be when they are at the veterinary office, when they're at grooming, if they're in a boarding type situation. So it is really good to introduce your dog to it so they have prior exposure to it and they have some knowledge of it actually being a safe and positive space, not a scary space. So if we do crate and kennel training correctly, we can actually help our dogs learn that it's not this scary, confining space that they might think it is. But we also have to take into consideration that crates and kennels and being in an enclosed space is not necessarily going to be the right environment for every dog. So for some dogs, being in a kennel or a crate, they can actually see that as kind of being more cave-like and kind of like a den, and it can become a safe, secure spot for them. That's great. But for other dogs, what can happen is they start to associate some negative things to it. So one is being enclosed in a very tight space without any room to go, and two, we usually have them go into this enclosed space when we leave. So we are, accidentally creating and the unintended consequence of you only go in the box when I leave. So we can help them form positive associations to it. So behind me, you'll see two different sizes. So this one is a little bit larger of a kennel, so probably like a large size. This one's probably like a medium size. These are the wire kennels. So I prefer using these just because they're not as enclosed as some of the other ones, like the plastic ones or the canvas ones. You can certainly use those, but I like these because if you need to make it more of an enclosed space, you can just put a blanket over the top of it. I also like some of the specific models because they have a door on the front here, but they also have a door on the side here. So what we can do when we're introducing our dog to the kennel or the crate is we can actually have both of the doors open, so then your dog can go through, or your dog can go in and then they can actually come out, so it's not a dead end. Sometimes when it's a dead end, dogs can panic. So I do like that for the wire kennels. And also for these guys, if you have a larger breed puppy, so I'm thinking, Great Danes, Mastiffs, I'm looking at you. You can get an extra large size of this so your puppy can grow to the size of it, and you can get dividers that go in the kennel so they don't have access to the whole space. Because what we don't want to have happen is our dog has too much space in the kennel that they actually will start to go potty in the kennel. Now keep in mind, you want to make sure that your dog is able to stand up without crouching over, can turn around comfortably, and can also lay down. And we want them to lay down comfortably, like more on their side a little bit. So oftentimes we have too small of a kennel or a crate for our dog, thinking that they appreciate the smaller space. They might not, so make sure that you are getting the appropriate size crate and kennel for your dog in order for them to be comfortable. Another thing that I like about these wire ones is they have a slide out tray on the bottom. So sometimes we don't take into consideration that it could be a texture thing for our dogs, why they might not want to actually be going into the kennel. So that's something where you can just slide this out, you can toss food rewards on that, you can play games around here, and then you can start putting it back into the kennel. Probably the number one mistake that I see with kennel training is we open this door is closed, we have our dog go in. Sometimes what can happen is they put their little feet in and then we push their booty in, we shut and we lock, and now our dog is like, well, shit, now I'm stuck in here. It's not really what I wanted to have happen. So that's why you can have the doors open, let your dog have the choice to come in and out of here. Sometimes these are a little sticky. But this is also something where fun things can happen. So you can feed them their meals in here. You can leave the door open. So feed them their meals in here, introduce them to fun toys in there. You can put some little blankets in there for them, and then you can scatter some food in there. You can also do this when they're not looking, so then it's kind of like, ooh, a surprise. So every time they go in there, it's new for them and they're discovering something new, and we are using the food to make a positive association. You can also do stuffed Kongs in here, stuffed bones in here, bully sticks, anything that your dog likes to do, they can do it in here. So I am going to cut to a video of Nala and I working together, and I'll take you through some of the steps. Nala is already fully kennel and crate trained, but we started her young when she was probably about 3 months old, and we did a lot of playing games to help her make a positive association, and we never forced her into the kennel. So you do want it to be your dog's choice. So I cannot stress enough, plan some extra time to work on this, and also work on this when you don't actually need your dog to go inside. Because sometimes we can just get a little impatient, and our dogs are working their way into going into the kennel, and sometimes we give them that little extra push, and then we shut the door, and again, not necessarily the best experience, and the dog was like, well, don't really like that. So let's make sure that we make kennel and crate training a fun, positive experience. And this doesn't just go for puppies. You can also do this with adult dogs as well. Even if they have a negative association to it, we can try to help change their mind about it. But again, like we talked about in the beginning part of the video, being in an enclosed space is not necessarily appropriate for every dog. Also, another thing, my friends, please, 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 if you have a dog that is trying to escape out of here or can escape out of here, please, please, please do not lock them in. Do not lock them in. So that is flooding, and that is going to make it so much worse, and that hits the panic switch, and now they really are trapped. And I've actually seen some pretty extensive injuries from dogs trying to get out of here. So because it doesn't look like it, but if they bend these bars enough, sometimes they can wiggle out. So if you're having situations like that going on, this might not be the right tool for your dog, and you might want to take a step back, hit pause, and you may actually want to consider having your dog be behind, you know, some fencing or some barriers like that if they don't quite have privileges to the rest of the house. So remember, not necessarily appropriate for everyone, but everyone should have exposure to it. But let's make sure that we do it the right way.
Nala. Baby Nala. Nala is actually about 9 months now. We started her pretty early on her crate and kennel training, probably about 2-ish months. As you can see, she's pretty comfortable moving in and out of her crate. So we did do a lot of playing games, and actually we still do the playing of the games. So we want to protect the positive association that we do have to the crate. So whenever she does go in the crate, we don't necessarily just shut the door right behind her and be on our merry little way. We give her a little bit of time to adjust. We give her some choice. We give her some incentives and some rewards. We go in the crate. We go out of the crate. Now you will see that I'm also just doing a few extra things like shutting the door, opening the door, feeding her food rewards while she's in the crate so she doesn't lose that positive association and make a negative association to the crate as it being a scary enclosed space that she doesn't necessarily want to be in. So if we do the crate and kennel training correctly, most dogs can actually learn that it's actually a pretty safe and fun space to be in, and it isn't necessarily the end of the world when they have to go in there. So I do recommend not getting lazy and always playing games with your dog, and never stop making those positive associations so we can keep that healthy relationship with the kennel and the crate.
Hey, Brutus. Brutus, how are you going to get down from there? Yeah, you got yourself up there. How are you going to get down? I don't think you thought that